Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Juarez and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Santa Paula. Each year, Rotary puts on a pumpkin patch out here at Limonera Ranch, and it's over there off of Wheeler Canyon Road. Now, unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, we were unable to have a pumpkin patch. We could not maintain the social distancing and safe precautions that were required with the thousands of people that come to visit Limonera Ranch, but we're going to be back next year. Out at the pumpkin patch, all Rotarians have functions out there and opportunities and duties. Mine were varied. I worked at the Trebuchet, I worked the soundboard, I took tickets, but also I was one of the guides on the hay wagons. And the hay wagons would take you around the ranch and they would talk about the history of Limonera and olive lands. I would veer off from that and I would talk about things like the Billie Whack monster. Have you ever heard of the Billie Whack monster? Well, the Billie Whack monster lived or was originated on Aliso Canyon, just about 2 miles west of the pumpkin patch. And I would tell the story of the Billie Whack monster on my tour. But before that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk a little bit about urban legends and folklore around Santa Paula. So what we're going to do is we're going to visit a couple of spots, and our last stop will be near the Billie Whack Dairy, home of the Billie Whack monster. Well, thanks for continuing the journey with me today. I was going to talk a little about urban legends and folklore, and just recently there was some talk on Facebook about someone traveling on Telegraph Road, crossing Briggs Road, and they saw a woman in a white dress. And after that, there was a lot of discussion about the ghost who hangs around at Briggs and Telegraph. Now, one thing interesting about this spot is that behind us is the Faulkner House, and this is Faulkner Farm. And those of you that have been with us for a while, this is where the pumpkin patch used to be before we moved out to olive lands. So part of this legend is that a woman in white wanders the roadway at night and is seen walking up and down the road. There's a lot of stories as to how and why she appears out here, but the legend continues that she is at this location. Now we're going to go to another spot in just a few minutes, which is called the Hangman's Tree, and I'll tell you the story that I know about that one. So we just came from the Faulkner Farm, Briggs and Telegraph Road, where I talked a little bit about the woman in white. Now, as I recall growing up, and other people have told me, that there's also a woman in white that appears here in the middle of the night at Hall Road and Sycamore Road. They call this the Hangman's Tree, and interestingly enough, it's been nearly lost over the years from fire damage, just bad weather, limbs falling off, and it keeps coming back. Now, I don't know whether it's been a hanging tree, but the legend of the lady in white at this location is that when people drive by here in the middle of the night, they'll see a woman either walking or standing near this tree or near this section of the highway. And as they pass by, she's either walking, standing, or may even be hitchhiking. And if you don't pick her up, what ends up happening is that you drive down the road a little ways, you may see her in your rearview mirror, or you may see her sitting in the seat next to you. And again, we don't know where she came from or what the story is behind it, but there are many people that drive by this section of highway that this is a spot that makes them very apprehensive and really makes it scary. So here's another one of those local legends that actually has long-term history. Recently on social media there was discussion about La Llorona. La Llorona is Spanish for the crying woman. And many people on social media were saying that she originated here in Santa Paula, near Santa Paula Creek. Now I remember it, and many people remember the story of La Llorona as a lady from Mexico decades ago that was so angry with her children because they were disrespectful and would not pay attention to her, and also just complained and cried that she drowned them in the river, much like this river behind me. And what ended up happening after that is she was doomed thereafter, once she passed away, to live among the undead and search for her children for eternity until she found them. Now, the legend of this story is that, many people use this to scare children into corrective behavior. I mean, I remember as a child being told, you know, you need to behave, don't be a crybaby, or La Llorona will come and get you. And I'll tell you, more times than not only for me, but many people, it scares you into doing the right thing. And we hope that if it is a true story, that someday she finds peace. One place that we definitely need to stop at before we head out to the Billie Whack Dairy is the Glenn Tavern. The Glenn Tavern, which has been here for many years, is also a place that's supposed to be haunted. And many paranormal organizations actually venture here to Santa Paula just to have meetings and experience just some unusual feelings that they experience outside, where they feel a presence of a ghost. There's also a presence of a ghost on the first floor near the women's restroom, the second floor, and of course everybody knows the third floor is haunted. There's a room upstairs that is haunted by the ghost of Calvin, a cowboy who was shot and killed here, apparently for cheating during a card game. Well, in addition to ghosts, which in and of itself is interesting, there was a famous person who stayed here, or not a person, but a famous entity, and that was Rin Tin Tin. So that's always good to hear that not only do we have paranormal activity, but there's a lot of famous people that come to Santa Paula. Now we're going to go ahead and make our way out to the Billie Whack Dairy. Well, this is one of the paths that one of the hay wagons would take you around Limonera Ranch at Olive Lands. And what would happen is there would be a lot of people from all over Ventura County, Los Angeles County, all over that would ride onto the back of these hay wagons, and each of the tour guides would talk a little bit about the ranch. They would talk about the history, they would talk about what's grown, and then we would pass by the Trebuchet. The Trebuchet is also known as the pumpkin chucker, and it was recently featured in one of our videos where Chris Wilson built this machine to launch a pumpkin and it would land far. Did you hear something? You know, that reminds me, because I would also talk about the Billie Whack monster. The Billie Whack monster lives near here, and that's where we're gonna go next. Well, thank you very much for staying on this journey with us. Years ago, when I was in high school, we came out here to the Billie Whack Dairy at night, and we got chased by this creature. It was probably the Billie Whack goat, but it also could have been a big dog. Anyway, today we're up here near the Billie Whack Dairy, and we're trying to really find out where it is, because it's kind of hard to find. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through this orchard and hopefully get to the dairy and hopefully not see the Billie Whack monster. So follow me. It's right there! Let's get out of here! Get out of here! Oh, man, I don't know if you guys are as scared as I was, but I don't know what the heck that was that chased us. I mean, it could have been the Billie Whack monster, but it could have been a very big, ugly dog, right? Anyway, that just brings back memories of when we went up there in high school. Anyway, I just wanted to close by telling you that we really miss all of our guests that would come out to the pumpkin patch, and we hope that you will join us next year. And the one good thing about this being so close to Halloween is that now we're just a little bit closer to next year's pumpkin patch. And so we'll see you next October in 2021.